get Jewish rights on the Temple Mount.
How long have you been fighting for the Temple Mount?
A number of years, 5, 6 years, more maybe.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? That you think
We
people
hope
should know that maybe
we
the
hope
media
that
isn't
we hope that
reporting?
people throughout the world that identify with this cause will speak up, because what we're talking about is not just freedom for the Jewish people, it's freedom for anybody that believes in democracy and believes that every human being has a right to worship God. The Muslims don't accept that. We see the Muslims cutting off people's heads because they have different ideas. But that can only be stopped when people have the courage to stand up. We saw in World War II what happens when you let fanatics, when you appease fanatics. They don't stop. The situation just gets worse. So we have to realize we have to stop fanatical Muslims from trying to rule the world. That will happen when people have courage to stand up and demand their rights.
Do you think anything particular led to, for example, the shooting of Slick? What do you think provoked it?
The fact that more and more Jews are getting interested in going to the Temple Mount is something which frightens me.
Thank you. Is it okay if I take your picture? Thank you.
Sir? Sir?
Oh, wow, shalom.
Sir? Oh, I see. Could I follow up with a question to what she had said?
Where are you from?
I'm from New York. My name's Phil Weiss. I'm with MondoWeiss.net.
Don't know what that is, but okay.
We cover Israel-Palestine. What about...
What's Palestine?
You know, the conflict. Okay. What about a perception that I have, just coming in from New York today, that there are
What's your name, by the way?
Phil Weiss.
Phil Weiss. Okay.
W-E-I-S-S. I have the impression that there are more reporters here than followers of your cause. Is that prejudicial? Am I being unfair to you? But it just seems like this seems like this is a fringe movement because
come back in an hour.
Okay. Also, when you talk about democracy and freedom to worship, don't your plans? Well, I didn't hear your plans, but I've heard other plans that envision the destruction of Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock.
From who? Where have you heard such a thing?
Well,
Israel has had sovereignty in the Temple Mount since 1967.
Yes.
Has there been any attempts whatsoever to tear anything down there?
Well,
the only people that tear down buildings of worship are Muslims. Muslims, wherever they go, tear down buildings of worship of other religions. Muslims are the only ones that don't allow freedom of religion.
Can I answer your question? Where I've seen that is on some of the Third Temple, rebuilding the Third Temple websites, I've seen language that says that the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock will no longer be there ultimately when the Third Temple is rebuilt.
That could be, but that's not what we're talking about now. We're talking about at this stage of human history, all people having the right to pray to God on the Temple Mount.
Yes.
Israel is the only state in the Middle East where all religions have freedom to practice their religion. We're the only state here. Go to any Muslim country and see what freedom of religion people have there. See that the Muslims are cutting off heads of Christians, they're cutting off heads of each other. Right? The only place where people have freedom of religion is here in Israel. And we are demanding on the Temple Mount that every human being who is not violent will have a right to pray on the Temple Mount. Muslims are violent on the Temple Mount. Muslims throw rocks. That's not appropriate behavior for a holy place.
Aren't there days...
Playing football is not appropriate on a holy place. The Muslims are not acting as if it's a holy place, and they're preventing every human being from worshiping God.
So
that has to be stopped.
What would you do about that?
The Israeli government has to make sure that the Temple Mount is like any other place of worship, any other public place in Israel, freedom of access, freedom of religion to every human being. That's what has to be done. Very simple.
And what about, I thought that there are times that I as a Jew was allowed to go onto the Temple Mount, the noble sanctuary, some years ago. Can't you go there? Don't you have access now?
The Muslims have access to the Temple Mount from 10 gates.
Yes.
We have access from 1 gate. Muslims are allowed on the Temple Mount 24 hours a day. We have access 4 hours a day. Muslims 7 days a week, us 5 days a week. I want to see you try and go up to the Temple Mount with the Book of Psalms. Try it. See what happens. My father, may he rest in peace, at the age of 79, took a small little Book of Psalms in his pocket. And I said, Dad, come with me to Temple Mount. I want to show you what happens when you take it out of your pocket. 79-year-old man takes out a book of Psalms this size. Like that, he was surrounded by Arabs demanding that he be taken out of the Temple Mount. That's a holy place. The Muslims don't see it as a holy place. They see it as a political place, just to make Muslim rule on the Temple Mount.
Do you think there's any element of politics to your side of this issue?
In what way?
Well, you just said that Muslims have a political goal that they enact on the Temple Mount. What about you?
Our goal now is to make sure that every human being has a right to pray to God on the Temple Mount. That's our goal.
Thank you, sir. And my name's Phil Weiss. Can I get your name?
Yaakov Heyman.
And are you from the States originally?
I grew up there, yeah.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.